According to the National Electrical Code, or NEC, Article 230.95c, the transfer switch must be rated for the maximum combined amperage of the two feeders. Therefore, the single circuit breaker downstream of the transfer switch must also be rated for the same amperage. The existing circuit protection before and after the step-up transformer on the 240 volts feed and at the feed for the 480 volts entrance provides adequate protection for the individual feeders. Once the feeders are combined through the transfer switch, the single downstream circuit breaker will provide the necessary protection for the 480 volts supply. The practice of protecting the secondary of the transformer before it goes elsewhere is generally a good habit. It is not explicitly required by the NEC for this specific application. Since the transfer switch is rated for the maximum combined amperage of the two feeders, it will also protect the secondary of the transformer. Using a single circuit breaker after the transfer switch is an acceptable practice in this scenario. It meets the code requirements for protection and provides sufficient protection for both feeders. The ability to use a single circuit breaker after a transfer switch depends primarily on compliance with the National Electrical Code, specifically Article 230.95c. This article mandates that the transfer switch be rated to handle the maximum combined amperage from both incoming feeders. Consequently, the circuit breaker positioned downstream from the transfer switch must also possess a rating equal to or greater than this combined amperage. This setup ensures that the entire system can safely manage the maximum potential current from either or both power sources. The effectiveness of this configuration hinges on the adequate circuit protection already in place for each individual feeder before they converge at the transfer switch. In the described system, there is circuit protection both before and after the step-up transformer and the 240 volts feed, as well as at the entrance for the 480 volts feed. These protective measures safeguard each feeder independently, preventing overcurrent situations from damaging equipment or causing hazards. When these independently protected feeders are combined via the transfer switch, the single downstream circuit breaker then acts as a final layer of protection for the entire 480 volt supply. In general, it is common practice to protect the secondary side of a transformer before distributing power to other equipment. However, the NEC does not explicitly require this in every situation, especially when the transfer switch itself is rated to handle the combined amperage of all incoming sources. In such cases, the transfer switch effectively provides a level of protection that might otherwise be expected from a dedicated circuit breaker on the transformer's secondary side. By ensuring that the transfer switch is appropriately rated, the system inherently gains a degree of overcurrent protection for the transformer secondary windings. In conclusion, adhering to NEC guidelines and ensuring proper ratings for both the transfer switch and the downstream circuit breaker makes the use of a single circuit breaker after the transfer switch a viable and code-compliant approach. This configuration provides sufficient protection for both feeders, simplifying the overall system design while maintaining a high level of electrical safety.